Hello again, happy Friday. Thank you again for being here. The fact that you're watching means a great deal to me. I truly appreciate it. Now, the clip that you just watched was a clip submitted by a subscriber, and we will look at it again in a moment. We also have 2 email questions this week, and we close it out with footage of damage to a car caused by a coyote. That'll be a sight. Now, the clip that just rolled, as I mentioned, was a viewer submission. I have a few that were sent to me before the hiatus, and I did hold on to them, so Tyler and Noah, just letting you know, you should see yours in the coming weeks. If you ever want to submit a video to be shown on this channel, you can send it to drivingin.SATX@gmail.com. Now, this one comes to us all the way from Navarre, Florida, submitted by Paul. This lady over here, she was getting too excited about going to Winn-Dixie, and when the light turned green, she got a little too enthusiastic with the accelerator. She ends up taking the turn too wide, and yes, the curb will always be happy to serve as a reminder if you take it too wide. She hits it pretty hard, and her hubcap decides to go out in spectacular fashion, all while considering all the drivers and getting out of the way. Our driver, she seems to be okay. It doesn't appear that she popped a tire even as hard as she hit, and she made it to Winn-Dixie. Now, again, if you have a video you'd like to submit, feel free to send it or a link to drivingin.SATX@gmail.com. Now, speaking of emails, it's time for email questions. I get viewers that are not from SATX that are trying to understand why the situation here is what it is, so they send me questions to help them better understand. This week's question comes from @OnlyTrash_throws_trash out on the road. The email reads, "It seems drivers in SATX are driving through intersections and out of driveways when they really shouldn't. Do they understand why the windows are see-through?" I get it. I do, because you really don't have to drive too far before some bag of turds drives across your path when they really should have waited. See, this GMC, they utilize the transparency of the window at the very last second and avoid a very crappy afternoon. But the best way to go about this would be to use the advantage of the sight in advance and see that the vehicle is coming. So you can just wait, until it's clear. Here in this one, we aren't going very fast, but when the roads are wet, you want to take that into consideration. This incredible inedible egg just drives on through, even though this car is coming. Now, just because you barely make it through doesn't make it a good idea. You can stick your hand a little ways under a lawnmower before your fingers get chopped off, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, on this one, I'm not talking about this car. I allowed this car to come out. I'm talking about this one. Now, you can't pass a driving test and think this is okay. So whoever's driving that, if you have a license, you know you were wrong. Same with this one here. This almost makes me think you want to be hit. Like maybe some people are playing this game in hopes that it pays off one day. Now, if you're out here trying to get hit, you really are some evil scum. But if you're out here not trying to get hit and you're driving like this, well, you just plain suck at driving. And it's evident that you're not capable of understanding why the windows are see-through, therefore are robbing yourself and the rest of us of its benefits. The next question comes from @2footed drivers a return off. The question is, do drivers know what the words passing, lane, and only mean? Look at me. If you know someone who could learn from what I'm about to talk about, please tag them in the comments or send them a link for this, because this is a serious problem. This is what the question is referring to, this sign here. See, it's not in special code. It's not in a crazy unrecognizable font. It's clear as day. Left lane for passing only. In some cases, the sign goes even further with this message. Slower traffic, keep right. So 2 things. If you're going slower than others, if someone's behind you, and it looks like they probably want to get around you because they're driving faster and you're in the left lane, get out of the way. That lane is not for you. You keep to the right. Now, if you are in this lane, and even if you are moving pretty fast, but there's nobody to pass, you no longer should be in that lane. The left lane is for passing only. Now let's take a look at what could have possibly inspired such an email. In the first clip, as you can see, I'm approaching this car and am anticipating passing it, so I move into the passing lane. Then, so does this driver. Was that a bit premature? Maybe, maybe not, but here we are. Now it's taking longer than it should to pass this car, but the reason for this car is not treating the lane as they should. We eventually pass this and then this truck, and then there's nobody left to pass. Seeing as how this lane is for passing only, get the hell out of here. In the last example, you can see I'm using the passing lane to pass these cars, and I get to this car, which is going slower than I am. And once I realize they aren't going to move over as they should, I decide to go around and I see that there are two of these cars just loving life in the passing lane with absolutely nobody to pass. Fast forward a little bit and we see this driver comes across someone doing the same, so they have to go around. But they get back into the passing lane with no rhyme or reason in sight. So it is more than clear that the words passing lane only are proving to be a message that's just way too difficult for many to understand in this community. Perhaps we should consider redesigning this sign. Here are a couple of options to consider. Finally, I promised to show you footage of a car with damage caused by a coyote. Now let's get to it. See, I was coming out of the three-letter store. You know, the one where all the personal shoppers are all in your way, taking up the entire aisle and moving slow as ever. Well, on my way out of the parking lot, I caught this right here. What did I tell you? Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe out there.